Hey, welcome to Dad Casual, where full-time dads and casual gamers come together to discuss everything we love about the games we wish we had more time to play. Thanks for being here. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 33. This episode 33, is that right? Taylor, no, we missed
That's
our
right.
chance at 22. But anyway, um, welcome to the show today.
Here.
It's going to be we're here. It's going to be a great one. We have a bevy of game news to talk about, such as the possible end of E3, upcoming games we're excited about, an old school Pokemon game coming to Switch, and why it's hard to finish games, especially as dads, right? Today we have the full crew today with Preston Jensen back from the dead.
Here I am.
Man, just, snake bitten both eyes, killed him,
Both
but
eyes.
he's back.
I'm
We got him
healed.
here. It's a miracle. Andy Bond.
What's up, Preston? You're alive.
I'm alive.
You're alive right before Easter.
Man, how poignant, right?
Back from the dead. And 33. That's when Jesus died.
Oh man.
Just saying, it's
Man,
all
the
coming.
the symbolism.
It's all the symbology. The symbology.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. And I am Houston Dragna. So welcome, crew, welcome listeners to Dad Casual. Guys, what's up? Preston, you're sounding a little under the weather, but it seems like you're feeling a little bit better.
Definitely.
How you doing, man?
Definitely feeling a little bit better, but still having some coughing and just not great. I don't know what's wrong. I think just allergies. I took a COVID test several times over the past couple days and negative, and I don't know. I feel better though, so I'm ready.
That's
ready
good.
to chat.
Yeah. And listeners, if you're not currently watchers, you need to jump on either YouTube or Spotify and watch this episode. Preston seriously upgraded his backdrop. He got the lights and the textured background and the PlayStation remote and all that kind of stuff. He's putting me and Andy to shame right now.
That is one thing that looks good. It's your background.
Dang.
The foreground could use some work.
Put one of those filters on it. That'll be fine.
Just a blur.
Yeah. Andy, how about you, man? How are you doing this week?
I'm good, man. I really don't have a lot going on. This is my normal background. But
This is
I'm
normal Andy in the normal background who didn't rise from the dead
No,
and who's
I
not
didn't.
33.
I'm just still. I am 33.
Oh,
he
he
is. He is 33.
It's all coming together.
It's full circle right there. Anyway, this is a gaming podcast, so we're going to talk about video games. Speaking of which, what have we been playing, fellas? Who wants to go first?
I'll go
Andy.
first.
Or
I'll
Preston.
go. Oh,
Andy, go.
okay. So I haven't been playing a lot this week. My family came into town, so that's kind of been a shakeup. My dad always has made fun of me playing video games, so I didn't play on the TV much. Every night. This was March Madness has been going on, and he likes to watch football, and so we've had that on the TV. And
That's
and then
basketball.
yeah, that's what I meant, basketball. And then my mom, we just watched different shows and different things. But Succession's been really, really good, by the way.
yes.
We're really into it. That's a show on HBO that you should definitely watch. It's great. But I know that's not video games. But so I've still been playing League of Legends and Hearthstone. This week, next week, the big they do 3 big expansions a year. One of those is next week, and so I'm really excited for it. It's also the time when they reset all the standard free cards for the year. So it's it's an extra big expansion. They call them their yearly seasons or whatever. It's kind of I suppose Fortnite or something.
Do they
but-
do themes with that?
Yeah, so the big theme for this one is called it's music themed. So it's a giant music festival because this is the expansion that coincides with summer. The next one won't be until after summer in the fall. And so this one is every character you play represents a genre of music. So the warrior class is rock and roll, and then one of them is pop and one of them is soul. The
cool.
warlock is soul. So it's
Appropriate.
it's a fun there's a fun theme going on, and I'm pretty excited for it. So yeah, and then I keep going up in league. I'm halfway to master ranking.
Look
so
at you. Look at you.
Do we have to call you Master Andy whenever you get
yes.
Master
Yes.
Pastor Andy.
Especially as we get closer to playing Jedi Survivor. You Master Andy is that'd be appropriate.
Yeah. Speaking of that, if I may go, if that's okay with you, Preston,
No,
for what I've been playing, I actually jumped back into, I essentially just restarted it, but Jedi Fallen Order. Just because I've been seeing all the stuff about Survivor, and I remember liking the couple of hours that I played of Fallen Order, like back, I don't know, like 6-8 months ago. And so, I jumped back into that just to kind of get another taste. Man, that game it's so polished. Like, it looks incredible. And it plays smoothly, and like the combat's really fun. It's very energetic. I'm definitely eager to jump more into that. And then I also, just to have like the same thing but in a different flavor, I re-downloaded Ghost of Tsushima because I beat the main story, but I never beat like all the Iki Island stuff and all of the extra like 100% completing each of the islands. And so I think there's like 4 different islands, including the DLC that you can do. So jump back into that. Also an amazing game. I still think, after I've had some time to think, I still think it's at number 2. I don't think Ragnarok has overtaken it. So really love that game still.
With Fallen Order, how do you like the difficulty in Fallen Order? Like, I know it's got a bit of a Souls element to it.
I haven't gotten far enough, I think, to really gauge that, besides like the tutorial, like first area.
When did that come out? That came out a while, like
2019, I think.
Okay, something like that. But
it's a fairly new game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that old, but man, I'll tell you what, that game has a great ending, in my opinion.
The story is really good so far,
and there's some really big cinematic moments. It's definitely one of my favorite Star Wars games. I think Star Wars has a lot of, I believe, hit and miss titles. There's not a lot of
100%.
legendary Star Wars games, but there are a few, and I think that's one of them that's been good. It's been, honestly, for sure, the only, in my opinion, modern hit that's Star Wars. And
I would totally agree with that. I mean, the Battlefronts are fun, but like this one, like kind of stands in a different class for sure.
I'm just a single player gamer too, so that's always the perspective that I'm coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a game that I'm excited to look. I'm looking forward to play, but I haven't gotten yet. But we can get to that in a bit. Preston, if you wanted to go with what you've been playing, maybe then we can each go through what we're excited to play
for sure.
Play soon.
So I have been playing Mario Maker. I haven't had time to play much.
So shocked.
Yeah, I know.
So shocked.
That's what I go to, just easy and
cool.
But something I'm looking forward to playing that's out now, and I talked to you guys about maybe picking it up too, just so we could all play because it's a multiplayer game, is called Deceive Inc. And I'm gonna put a video up here.
Okay.
Kind of Fortnite-ish, GoldenEye. Not too sure everything going on, but from what I understand, you have to fight other people off, and you don't know who's an NPC and who's a playable character, like who's playing.
Oh, that's a cool twist.
And so you try and collect a briefcase and then escape. When you have the briefcase, you can be seen on the map, or you're pinged more on the map, some kind of thing. And there's only one briefcase per round type of thing. So
interesting. It's kind of got like a
3v3v3.
The Among Us, it kind of almost makes me think Among Us, the like you're trying to figure out who's the person and who's not, who's an NPC, but then it's almost like a Hitman meets but it's 3v3v3, so there's
like a Gary's mod thing, like you can disguise yourself as an object.
Yes, so you can do that. And I was watching somebody that was like, when you have the briefcase, it pings it a lot faster, so then you like where you are, so like you wait for it to ping and then you take off running, so people don't know where you went to the other extraction point or whatever. So kind of a cool little game. So
yeah, that's party game.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Could be fun with just your friends.
Yeah, $20.
Not too bad. Yeah, that looks fun.
So you said you were looking forward to something.
Yeah, we've mentioned it before, but Final Fantasy 16, the release date's drawing ever closer. And they did, I know I'm a little late to this, but they did like a Nintendo Direct style, like only about this game, like expo thing online a few weeks ago. I think it was last month. But man, like just kind of seeing, we're looking at gameplay footage right now. I'm extremely stoked for this. It looks like a very like, quintessential Square Enix, like high fantasy, high production value, very cinematic, very over the top with the particle effects and the combat and stuff. But I believe this is their first like full on like action RPG that's not like time based in any way. That it's just like boom, 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 boom.
I kind of want to try it then.
So the battle director from the Devil May Cry series worked on this game, and so that's where I think a lot of that DNA comes from. And so that on top of like all of your traditional like mainline Final Fantasy DNA kind of mixed together is making me want to really, really play this game. And I was lucky enough to be able to pre-order it because I got a gift card during Christmas. Nice. And so that's one of the ones I put it towards. So I'll be downloading it day before, playing it day one. Very excited about it.
Cool. Nice. I kind of honestly watching that trailer as opposed to Final Fantasy 15. 15, I remember watching being like, this is very different game. I didn't like the boy band aesthetic. I know that's not what they were, or were they? I mean,
no, it was a like a royal prince and like his cohorts and like
they were like road tripping. It was weird. I saw
odd story.
Every time I saw footage, they were like pushing a car and then all of a sudden fighting a dude in the desert. And I was like, I don't. But that one, I don't know. I guess I almost like if something's going to be fantasy, like be fantasy,
like lean into
what I mean?
Right.
And that's kind of like their thing. They kind of have been known to blend those like sci-fi, adventure, fantasy kind of genres together, like all the way as far back as like Final Fantasy VII, where it was kind of like that neo technology, but like still old world kind of feel to it.
Yeah. So my game that I'm going to jump into really soon, and maybe even tonight after this, I know we talked about it, is Sackboy's Big Adventure is on PS Plus. Yep. I think it dropped on Tuesday. And so I'm all about that because it's one that I've been wanting to play, but I think I've just always known, I'm like, that's going to come to PS Plus. It's going to come. And like, I've just been waiting. And here it is. So I'm going to jump into it. It's different than the other Little Big Planets. There aren't character created levels. They're all just straight up developer levels. And it looks like a 2.5D platformer, like
Mario World.
You don't control the camera,
like Mario 3D World. Well, I think you might be able to control the camera a little,
maybe in certain sections, but I think for the most part, it's got it handled for you.
Gotcha.
But Mario 3D World's probably a really apt comparison.
I loved the 3D World games, and especially if you can play co-op with your friends. Like if we could get on together, that'd be fun.
I believe I read it's 4-player co-op. So
I think so. Yeah.
And like I'm assuming like right now in the video footage, like he's just a brown Sackboy, but I'm assuming you're going to get outfits and things, and you're going to be able to tell each other apart. I think it could be fun.
Wasn't Sackboy one of the original like PlayStation 3 or 4 games?
No,
PlayStation 3 was Little Big Planet though. So yes, PlayStation 3.
Okay.
Yeah, but this particular title is PS5.
Yeah.
But yes, Sackboy is the main character from Little Big Planet.
Okay,
correct.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and it is a PlayStation Studios game, right? Like Media Molecule is like just PlayStation.
I believe so.
As far as I'm aware.
I think so. Yeah.
I
don't think there's ever been a game by them that's not exclusive to PlayStation consoles. So yeah.
First party, really cool. Cool. That's good to hear. We got some games we're excited about. Been playing Old Faithfuls, but let's go ahead and move on to some of the news. So first and foremost, E3 has been canceled.
Dude,
not delayed.
It kind of feels like that feels bad to say. Like we mentioned.
It's time though. I know you're going to read a quote in a second, but like even in the last episode, I thought it was hilarious that like we were like, oh man, Ubisoft's pulling out of E3 the day after we recorded.
Yeah, it was the day after. Yeah.
That news dropped. And we were like, oh man, like this at least finally puts the nail in the coffin that this will be the last time we have to talk about this.
Yeah. Until next year, until we see what happens.
Do you think anything, say E3 gets canceled, will anything take its place?
Oh, so we have
I think it already has.
Yeah, we have Summer Games Fest. That's kind of the big thing, and then IGN's Summer of Gaming.
As well. It's 100% Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest. First off, that's where Ubisoft said they're going. They're like, we're going to do Summer Games Fest.
Yeah,
and everyone's going to be there. Like Jeff Keighley killed it. He runs the Game Awards in December, and he runs Summer Game Fest in June. He's got the tent poles halfway through the year at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where all the. I mean,
Good
we're
old,
still gonna get it.
Good old video game Ryan Seacrest just coming for blood.
And I just like Jeff Keighley. I don't know. He's just random.
Yeah, he is a likable dude.
He just came out of nowhere, and I don't know. To me,
but yeah, let me go ahead and read this this article from Rebecca Valentine at IGN. The ESA, who is over E3, who puts on E3, typically issued the following public statement from Kyle Marsden Kish, global VP of gaming at ReedPop, who puts on PAX. Quote: "This is a difficult decision because all of the effort we and our partners put towards making this event happen. But we had to do what's right for the industry and what's right for E3. We appreciate and understand that interested companies wouldn't have playable demos ready, and that resourcing challenges made being at E3 this summer an obstacle that they couldn't overcome. For those who did commit to E3 2023, we're sorry we can't put on the showcase you deserve and that you've come to expect from ReedPop's event experiences." So just a formal apology from the ESA, essentially there. It does.
It sucks for those developers who this was their shot. Or they felt that way. You know what I mean? Like they were.
Yeah, especially when it's almost too late, probably to get in on these other shows,
right?
Unless you're somebody as big as Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like if ReedPop couldn't do this, like it was in a really bad place. You know what I mean? Like ReedPop puts on tons of events that have nothing to do, like they're just great community events, but I just don't think they could get the they just couldn't get the publishers and developers.
The budget at that point is minimal for them to put this show on too, though, I would think. Yeah, you don't have Xbox, you don't have PlayStation, you don't have Ubisoft.
Yeah, but I think that might have been part of it because they are relying on those big publishers to like bring the audience to be able to like have the views, have the ad revenue, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, imagine you're a small game developer, right? You have this game coming out. You're like, oh man, should we go to E3? And you're like, I don't know, man. It's like 10, 20 grand out of our budget to go. And you're like, well, Xbox is there, PlayStation is there. There's going to be so much news and media attention to that event. Like we can leech off of that press and get some towards our game. But then you say, oh no, none of those guys are there. All of that media attention, there's nothing there. If anything, you're like, it's almost encouraging if like at least Ubisoft or at least EA or someone, because you're like, like the press will be there and we can fill in those gaps. But if no one's there, it's not worth the money. It's not worth the money. You don't have that kind of money, and it's better spent using it in other ways for marketing, probably. So just is what it is. And I bet a lot of those games will still go to PAXs across the country and different events. And again, be at Summer Games Fest and do a digital announcement. Pay money to get your trailer part of the indie showcase at Summer Games Fest. Yep. Like that's enough. That might be enough. We'll see.
Yeah, because there's definitely still the appetite for it. I mean, obviously, because we do have Summer Games Fest. We do have Summer of Gaming and stuff. So I'm really curious to see if E3 will even attempt to revive after this year, or if it becomes just PAX Summer and they just change the name and they just kind of go with that flow. Or I don't know. I could even see where like all of it just kind of gets absorbed into Jeff Keighley's thing completely, and just that's just the new obelisk of gaming that happens during the summer.
Something cool I saw the developers of Meet Your Maker that did is like they reached directly out to a podcast like ours and they were like, hey, we want to pay to just take over your podcast for one episode and talk all about our game. And I was like, what a clever, probably not nearly as expensive marketing way to like get some highlight on your game where people are going to watch it and they can get experience with the game. I don't know. I thought that was a cool idea. And so there's lots of ways that developers can get their name out.
Just saying, any game developers that are listening, Dad Casual is open for ad space and takeovers. So yeah,
we are get here after and ready.
Any dad-based games? What's that? Remember like
exclusively Octodad? Yes.
Yes. You remember Octodad, Preston?
Office Simulator as well.
Yes.
Octodad's incredible. But anyway, so I think we can move on from that. But, RIP E3 for this year and, I don't know, maybe forever.
Good riddance.
Whoa. People's lives are at stake.
Anyway, moving on. There is a rumor that the PS Vita 2 is in development.
Don't get their hopes up.
I know, but it's really
Whose
not going to be the
hopes?
PS Vita 2. So what this article says is PS Vita 2 dreams are killed, but Sony might have a handheld for PS5 remote play in the works. So not quite as enticing of a headline, but Liam Crawford Push Square writes, the unreported piece of Sony hardware that's been alluded to over the past week could be a quote unquote cloud streaming handheld, according to Jeff Grubb of Giant Bomb. Man, that dude knows everything.
He's the guy.
He's the guy. Shout out Jeffy Grubb. Overnight, the journalist tweeted about having heard of such a device and advised fans to, quote, definitely scope down those expectations, end quote. Instead of a PS Vita 2, this is set to be a handheld based around streaming games to let you play them on the go. So that's pretty much all the news that I'm aware of that we have on this. But I guess we could spend a little bit of time maybe like kind of speculating, putting some kind of like wants and needs out in the universe to see if Sony hears us. And what do you guys think of this whole story?
What do you guys think is the demand for another handheld outside of the Switch? Do you think PlayStation, is there any demand for that, or does the Switch basically satisfy it?
No, I don't think there's any games. Like PlayStation and Xbox have this high tier game, right? Like it's all about graphics, it's all about speed, it's all these different things. I don't know if they're like getting into that realm. Like when was the PS Vita? PS2?
No, that was between 3 and 4, I think, is when it released, like somewhere in like the 2007 to 9 range.
Yeah, that's
this PS3 era. But my question, like obviously, like they don't have to make a PS Vita 2 that handles God of War. I mean, just think how much money Nintendo makes off of all the indies. Like, is that a place that Sony wants to be, where they're like, well, we sell, Cult of the Lamb and all these hundreds of games. Like, we want a handheld in our ecosystem of products too, even if it's the same thing. Because I mean, it's actually, especially if it's the same thing, because come on, man, the Nintendo Switch is underpowered. Like, I am surprised that PlayStation doesn't want to be in that space when it's more popular than ever.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually in camp pro. Like, yes, we want a Sony handheld because you have the Steam Deck, because you have like this new Asus like handheld thing that's coming out, because we have the Switch, and because like Nintendo took away like the 3DS and like some of their other handhelds are just all Switch focused now. So yeah, I actually owned a Vita. I owned a PSP. Like, I remember like having a lot of fun with those systems, and it was sad to see like not as many games going on it. But with the new, like, you have a combination of what they're talking about, which is cloud streaming, but then you also have the ability to like down-res games and like play them mobily at like 720. You have the ability to play all these indies and download them straight to your console. So I definitely think there's room for that in the marketplace, especially the ones that like, okay, I'm not a Nintendo gamer, I'm a Sony gamer, and if Sony doesn't have a handheld, like, I don't want to in any part of that.
Because that's kind of the angle I'm thinking. Because I'm like, one of the big appeals of the Steam Deck was that if you already have a Steam library, you don't even have to, you own the games. True. You can download them to this device. Well, I'm mostly a Sony gamer. I have Nintendo too, but I have so many games in my catalog. I'm subscribed to the Essentials. Like, if those games, I can just be like, oh, I'm going to download, especially if I can be like, oh, I'm going to grab Elden Ring and a few big games too to my little handheld device, even if it is 720. Like, that's so convenient, because I'm like, oh, I'm going home for Christmas, I'm going to grab my Vita. And like, I don't grab my Switch a lot because...
But you have that ability now.
Yeah, but only through cloud streaming, and that's a pretty subpar experience in my opinion.
Are you talking about the Switch, or what are you talking about?
I'm talking about PlayStation. Yeah, you can play remote, and that is streaming from your PlayStation 5 to your...
And that's what this device is purportedly going to do. And so I'm actually not super excited about, as it is described right now, just being a streaming device, because I have a really powerful smartphone that I connect my DualSense to via Bluetooth and do that.
And I don't know. I'm thinking, I get what you're saying, that like I can stream most of the games. I just don't do it. I don't know. I think I just like the offline. I don't have to connect to any.
But that's where I'm
buffering.
Be curious to see. Are they going to have to create, like you said, down res games isn't just a quick like right? Like I don't
No,
know. As a game
a
developer,
port is never simple,
Right.
no matter how simple it seems. Yeah,
right. So,
It's a different. It's not just a port to a different system, though, right? Like a port from PC to Switch or something like a whole new system. But if the game exists on PlayStation already, that surely is a simpler
it's
port.
easier, probably. Yeah, but
I would think so. It's still extra work.
yeah.
But maybe not for example, again, I stick to indie games or smaller games or things like that where they're like, the game already isn't that big. Like it might not even need a port. They'll be like, oh no, it's already perfect and optimized. It'll play fine. It depends what the specs are. The specs on this thing could be cool, like good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My thing is that, is it going to be more powerful than an iPhone? Even if I know like software is a big part of it and firmware, and like if it's like a purpose built device, it will run smoother, more than likely. But I can't imagine something that has the access to the same internet connection that is designed to do just cloud streaming, probably with a much cheaper processor.
Oh, you're talking about the cloud streaming version.
Yeah, correct. As they're referring to it right now, because that's all the information we have is that it's going to be a cloud streaming device, and I don't see any instance where that is better than your iPhone with like a backbone connected to it.
Right. It's similar to the PlayStation TV that they released.
Yeah, I just don't care.
Or whatever it was called. The PS Vita TV in Japan, I think.
Sure.
Is what it was called. And that was for the PS4. I bought the PlayStation TV.
Yeah.
And it was, like Andy said, like it was streaming from one room in the house from my PlayStation 4 to another one. And it was still garbage. Like it was like, eh.
And it's interesting that PlayStation chooses to support things like VR that have a very niche audience, not a ton of sales. Actually, that's the one news story that we're not really covering this week, is that the VR2, the PSVR2 sales have been kind of lackluster. It hasn't had a good start at all.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that they're like really, really doubling down on that, when I personally think the handheld market probably is a bigger market than the VR market.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that statement. I just don't know. Man, like Nintendo Nintendo, I think, has a hold on that market just because of the reputation of not giving us high res, incredible graphics, those type of things.
They focus on fun. They don't focus on the best quality.
Exactly. Yeah. So for PlayStation or Xbox to do this, it's going to take a lot of work to get anywhere in the competition, in my opinion.
Also, with Nintendo, the console is a handheld automatically. There's no separate purchase. If I could just grab my PS5 and take it handheld, that'd be amazing. But I can't.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It is a console, but not. But it is.
But if it releases how Jeff Grubb is describing it, I'm calling immediate flop worse than the Vita.
Oh, I think, I don't know if it'll be a flop, because honestly, if it's just a streaming device, I don't think it's going to be very expensive for. It's going to be like the PS remote. Like, you wouldn't call that a flop or a success. It's just an accessory.
So you think it'll be?
You can get it if you.
You think it would be? That's an interesting thought, because I think it would be a lot like the PSVR 2, where the market just wouldn't.
What I'm saying is, if it doesn't need processing because it's just streaming.
Oh, I see.
It doesn't need to be expensive. It's not a $300 item. It's a $50 item.
Yeah.
How much? I disagree with that. I think a good processor helps you have a good internet connection, and so it's going to need to have some kind of horsepower. It needs to have a screen. It needs to have peripherals to control the game. I think it's going to be $300-$400.
I was even questioning, does it have a screen?
Oh, no. This isn't just something you attach to.
I was literally thinking, like, is this some controller that you can play on your TV or something? You know what I mean?
No. It says cloud streaming handheld in that quote. And so this is going to be its own device with a screen. It's going to be a cheap smartphone, essentially, with a controller built into it.
Well, now they have done.
So I think it's going to be in that $300 to $400 range.
I think that'd be ridiculous if that's what they do. I agree with you guys that it'll flop if it's that price. I think it has to be sub $200. I think it has to be, man. I think it would have to be like $150.
I could see a version at $200, but I think it's going to be more.
Yeah, I think it'll be $300 at least.
We'll see. We've put it out there. We've made our predictions.
There it is.
Let us know what you think, guys.
Yeah. Right into dadcasualpodcast@gmail.com. Give us your predictions. Let us know your thoughts. This was a fun one. That was kind of heated.
Or
like
if
that.
you're watching on YouTube, you can
just drop a comment, drop a like, subscribe, do all the things.
Donate.
This nonsense made me sneeze.
He's allergic to nonsense. We have some more kind of like controversial / shocking news. If you paid attention at all to the BAFTAs, they had their game awards recently where Vampire Survivors was named best game of the year. Ed Nightingale at Eurogamer. That's an awesome last name, by the way. Shout out Ed.
Ed McCooch, you got a challenger.
You got competition. Ed Nightingale steps into the ring. Vampire Survivors was the surprise winner of Best Game at last night's BAFTA Gaming Awards, beating the likes of Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok. Quote, "It's all really strange," quote, Geo Morgan from Vampire Survivors developer Punkle told me after the game's win. "It's such a quirky little game, and the team is so passionate about what we do, and we put our heart and soul into it. I think that shows from how people react to it and how many people enjoy it and how we want to keep striving to make it a better game." So first, and before we talk about the actual game, and we have it pulled up here so you can kind of see it while we're talking about it, is this reminds me of Among Us.
I think it's because of the graphics. They're
but it's also
quality.
it's a minuscule team making a very simple indie game, and this one's actually arguably way more advanced than Among Us is. But it's still like it looks like a mobile game, and I believe you actually can get it on iPhone and probably Android. And so this was definitely a shock to me because like this doesn't seem like something that. And I'm not saying this to belittle indie developers, but not nearly as much like effort that would go into what you would typically think is a game of the year contender, like God of War Ragnarok, like Elden Ring, like Zelda, like all of these games. But yeah, I'm interested to know your guys' thoughts based on what you're seeing now and if you've ever played it or not. But I mean, it got everybody's attention, so that was kind of cool.
It's definitely interesting that I didn't play Elden Ring, but this doesn't seem better than Elden Ring to me. That might be a hot take, but
yeah, I think what's fun, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and we like to save our thoughts for the podcast and not talk too much in depth. But what I think is fun is, and some people don't like game awards, but game awards or movie awards, the Oscars, whatever, to me have always just been a place where I'm like, hey, maybe I'll learn something new. Something will get put on my radar to check out. I'm like, oh, okay, if this was game of the year, I should at least give it a shot, check it out. And I think what I like is watching this trailer. At first, my reaction is like, I don't think I'll try it. But then if the reviews are that solid, I might give this a pass. And who knows? I still don't know. This looks like one of those games that you might have to play to see if you like.
Yeah.
Because look at all the like upgrade paths and itemization, and there's all kinds of stuff going on behind the scenes that I just thought you were playing as a cat at one point. Like,
I'm very confused too.
I actually played a game recently like this on iPhone called Survivor IO, and it looks almost identical. So it makes me think that it's Survivor is maybe a ripoff of this game, because it is a bullet hell with like a character that has upgradable like ability paths and stuff.
Right.
But this looks a bit more robust than that game. So if you are into 2D bullet hell games,
this is it.
Yeah.
This is your game. Apparently, it's one of the best ever made.
And like if it's better than Elden Ring or not, like if let's say Elden Ring or God of War would have won, it wouldn't have made any headlines. It would have just been like, they want another one. But now, like, it's like, ooh, what's this other game that they said is the best game of the year? Like, I don't know. I think it's fun. Good on you, BAFTA, for breaking out. The Brits always have to be a little bit.
Shout out to highlighting indies.
A little bit different. Yeah. But so I'm into it. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So now time for a throwback. So we found a new game that looks old, but let's talk about an actual old game. Pokemon Stadium is coming to Nintendo Switch Online for the N64.
Nice.
Man, this got me excited because this is one of my like fondest memories as like early gaming, because I got my N64 when I was like maybe like 7 or so. And I remember this was one of the first games that I got, and this was the one that I brought to my friends' houses, and we played nonstop all night until we passed out, and then we woke up in the morning at 7 a.m. and started playing it right over again. But it's a really, really fun game. It really itches like all of kind of like your Pokemon. I mean, obviously it does like the normal Pokemon battles, but it's also like probably the best mini game that I've ever played, or at least one of them, like rivaling Mario Party and all these things. So
wow, what a statement.
Yeah, I stand by that, especially like this. And there's Pokemon Stadium 2, which is almost just as fun. So Jay Peters at The Verge, we have a small little article. He just says Pokemon Stadium will join Nintendo's growing roster of Nintendo 64 classics you can play through Nintendo Switch Online starting on April 12th. It is currently April 5th at the time of recording. So you have about a week. First released in 2000,
cool.
Stadium is a battle-focused Pokemon game featuring the original 101 Pocket Monsters. And he says the only catch to this one is that you can't, like the original, import your existing Pokemon squad from like red, blue, yellow, silver, or actually there's only 151, so red, blue, or yellow into this like you could on the N64 with like the little transfer pack thing that they had. So you just have to use the Pokemon that are in the game for the actual battle portions. But if you're into the mini games, it's not really an issue. But yeah, I'm obviously very excited about this, and I think anybody that has Nintendo Switch with Nintendo Switch Online, definitely check it out if you haven't before.
Yeah, I remember Pokemon Stadium coming out and me being excited because there was, before that, all the Pokemon games were Game Boy games, and every battle was this very 2D plane. Like I was like, oh my gosh, it's an actual 3D like N64 game, like with Pokemon. I'm so excited. So.
Yeah,
cool.
you could see the moves kind of like materialize in 3D space, which is a first, which is super, super cool.
And
reminded you of the anime a little bit.
And I just thought it was the next gen.
It was.
There's like polygons instead of just drawings.
It was a gen.
Yeah.
I don't know about next, but it was one of them.
Yeah. Preston, were you ever a Pokemon guy?
I wasn't. I think I'm a little too old. Like I missed that.
How old are you?
I'm 38. I'll be 39 this year. So
yeah, you'd have been like.
I remember younger kids liking it. So I was too cool for that.
I was 8 when this game came out, so that means you were 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get that.
That huge appeal of being able to like bring your Pokemon from the Game Boy game into Pokemon Stadium, though. And I guess you can't do that with this, Nintendo Switch Online version. But that was a big appeal, too, because you were like, wait, my Pokemon that I've been training,
right?
I can just bring
over. Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, definitely a big nostalgia boost for Pokemon fans of our age, the elder millennials.
I mean, any throwback game like that is always just cool to see. Like GoldenEye is out, and that's such a cool, like, man, those were some great days. And
shout out to Nintendo for pushing the video game preservation agenda. We definitely need more of that for all of these. I mean, like PlayStation is doing it with the PlayStation Classics. Nintendo's doing it there. As far as I know, there's a few Xbox titles like your Master Chief collections and things like that are kind of being brought on Xbox. So I definitely think that's still a really important thing. So like people, like there are games that even though they don't look new, that are just as fun as ones that are released today that everybody deserves to play.
Yeah, I think that's important. There's so many games. I think I mentioned this on the podcast before, but they did Skyward Sword, Legend of Zelda. Like that game was a motion controller game on the Wii, and it literally, because the Wii motion, like you could not play that on a modern console, which means that like eventually you'd have to find a Wii, and it would be the only game in the series. Well, they made the effort to remaster it and totally redo the controls. I think that's so cool. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to our last story, then we have a little bit of a kind of a topic that'll kind of lead in from this. Most Hogwarts Legacy players aren't finishing the game. Jay Porcelli, I'm guessing on that pronunciation, apologize if it's wrong, says from Game Rant, currently the completion rate for the game Hogwarts Legacy on Steam is only 25%, which has surprised some fans. Rather than completing Hogwarts Legacy and moving on to other games, most players are dropping the game without finishing it. And as I'm reading that, I don't really think it comes as that much of a shock. Like 25%. I don't know. Like I guess and they're also counting like the story, like the main Golden Path story to completion, which I don't know. Can one of you guys look up how long to beat for this game? I want to say that we said it was around like 30 hours, maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
It's like 25. Yeah, it's not very long. And I kind of agree, like, as all games, I think, especially the more mainstream a game becomes, I think you just are going to have a lower completion rate. But especially a game that has no online. This entire game is a single player experience and was one of the best selling games of the year. And by all accounts, very highly reviewed. Normally you think like completion rate being low means it's a bad game. Like people aren't enjoying it, so they move on or they put it down. I don't know. It's an interesting subject.
Yeah, I'm looking up right now how many copies have been sold. So there's 12 million copies sold.
Dang.
That's a lot of games.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's really, really good. So if we take 25% of that, what is that? 4 million have essentially finished it based on some very, very rough math. And so, I mean, that's still a very large percentage of people. And I don't know, it's only been out for 2 months. And I know from our experience, we can kind of get into this, but like us as dads, when we only have like 5 hours a week combined between all days to like play games, I mean, that's a month and a half long endeavor if that's the only game you ever play.
I think too, like I would like to see how many, and you kind of stepped on that, but like how many people are casual gamers or how many people are super fans of the Harry Potter world or Hogwarts and they were like, I have to have this game. Like, you know what I mean? So they haven't really, they're not gamers per se, but they love they're casual gamers. So similar to dads.
Yeah, and I think that we can
else.
kind of use this to transition into our main topic that we wanted to get to here is that how often do you finish games? And we can kind of go into like the when, the where, the why, the who, all that kind of stuff behind that. And so I know for me at least, I maybe actually finished like 3 games a year. Maybe
to like rolling credits finish.
Rolling credits on main story if it's a story game, obviously.
Yep.
And like there's a very rare occurrence where I'll actually do that in like a reasonable amount of time. Like God of War Ragnarok last year was like one of those exceptions where I finished it in under 2 weeks.
I finished it too.
Yeah. And so but besides that, I mean, my backlog is ridiculous right now because we were talking a little bit earlier where it's like you start one game and it's awesome and it's fresh and you want to play it for like 10 hours in the first week. And then it's like life sets in again. And you're like, oh man, I'm kind of burning myself out. I'm staying up too late. And then you just go to sleep at a normal time after that. And then you just kind of leave it alone. And then the next new shiny game comes out.
Yep.
And then you start that cycle all over again. So I don't think I'm alone when I say that happens to me a lot.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I would say I'm looking right now on my phone trying to figure out in the PlayStation app, like what's the game that I have the most completion on? Like, and I'm not sure if you can do that or not, but
I mean, I guess by trophies, and that's not always like the most accurate thing. Yeah.
But I know I think I rolled credits on the Madden that had the first story mode. And I forget what year that was because I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to go through this story mode to just see what it does. And I did. And I remember seeing the credits. But other than that.
So what about like in the last 12 months? Like what games can you actually think of that you've finished?
There's not one.
None games?
No, I don't. No.
Nothing, huh?
I literally was looking at my list and because... Like we've talked about before.
Did you beat GTA? Like the story, the main
I did.
story.
Or GTA 5? But
3 times. Every console. I beat it every time.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was years ago. That's 11 years ago or something now, right?
I mean, since but you beat it 3 times over.
I didn't beat it on PS5. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So 2 times over.
2 times over, but I have played it 3 times. So PS4 was the last time that I was not married. Yeah. I didn't have a kid. Like, I didn't live with Christine yet.
So for you, like, game completion rate doesn't mean a game was bad at all. Like it means nothing. Like
no, not at all.
You don't by that metric, every game is bad to you,
right?
But like
no,
so,
but there's also games that you can't beat, right? Like the games you play with each other all the time, like the Fortnites, you can't beat.
Yeah.
Them. So
no, I don't include those in my like. Those are games, especially. I mean, I would argue like so many people play Call of Duty, but never play the campaign. Oh. They want to play online.
Last 12 months, no. I don't remember when it wasn't the most recent Call of Duty, but the one before I rolled credits.
Modern Warfare 2?
I think so.
Or Vanguard?
Whichever
Vanguard
one.
was last year. Modern Warfare 2 is the newest one that came out this year.
Okay. Yeah, you were talking about that one a lot, though.
Yeah. So I guess it was this year, last 12 months. That one I rolled credits.
You rolled credits on that. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I actually just looked at my top list of games I've ever played, and I was surprised. I had to get to like not until I was to number. Now there were a few in there that were like there was like League of Legends or like World of Warcraft in there that I was like, oh, you don't finish those go on forever. Yeah. But as far as the ones you could finish, it was like I had to get to number 26 before it was like I hadn't finished it. Like I'd finished all of them. Yeah, The Witcher, Elden Ring, BioShock, Hollow Knight, God of War 2018. I don't have Ragnarok on here yet. I should. Like Breath of the Wild, like I finished all those games. But the one on here the one that I stopped at that I didn't finish, you know what it was Skyrim. I love Skyrim. I still have never actually beat it, and I've done like 4 or 5 different save files, like restarting and playing. I have a great time. I just don't think the main story's that interesting. The side stories are always fun.
Yeah, man, I beat Skyrim, and I didn't even own an Xbox at the time. I was playing on my roommates in college when I beat it. But yeah, so I think the question that you were asking was like, and we have it written down here, does game completion rate mean anything about the quality of the game? Now, I will say that no, it's not like a mutually it's not like a hard and fast rule that if you don't have 100% completion on the game that it's not good. But I will say that games that I do complete are almost always in a higher ranking.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Than any other game that I haven't completed.
Yeah, because I was gonna say no. Like I played tons of games I like, but when I look at games I love, the games that are at the very top, I finished them.
I mean,
I did.
I think that would probably stand true for all 3 of us, right?
Yeah. Probably.
Like GTA 5
I think most gamers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now there are games I think probably on my list that I'm like, man, like Hogwarts. I still haven't finished. I should go back. I'm probably not far away. I do have kind of a habit with certain games of like getting to almost the last boss, and that's when I stop playing. Like I don't know why. I don't know why I do that. Maybe it's like subconsciously I like
don't want it to end.
Yeah.
I think there's a completionist mindset too that like I'm like, no, I can't beat the final boss before I beat all the other side missions.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I should stop. I should just beat the main boss, especially if you can still do the side missions after.
Yeah. I'm probably going to call it now. This year, I think I already know what games I'm going to complete. And it's going to be Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16, and Spider-Man 2, if it actually does come out this year, and maybe Hogwarts Legacy. I think I'm interested enough to kind of see it to the end. And it actually does have a fairly interesting story. Lately I'm having a hard time finding a lot of like 2 to 3 hour blocks to actually like get through a decent chunk of the game before I'm just either exhausted or my daughter wakes up or like I just go to bed really late or something like that. So, how about this? What are there any games that are kind of like in your favorites list that you haven't finished? Like, do you have any examples of that?
Now I need to look at my list again.
Yeah, same.
I'm like, okay, hold on. Let's see.
Yeah. I never finished Horizon Zero Dawn. I liked it. I don't think I'll ever even go back either. I just didn't love it enough, maybe. But it's still one of my favorite games I've ever played. It's not.
That's a weird one for me too.
Every Borderlands other than Borderlands 2. I liked Borderlands 2 enough to finish, but
I finished Super Hot on VR.
There you go.
Nice.
Forgot about that.
Finished a VR game. Nice.
I've only ever finished one Assassin's Creed, They all eventually there would like
I
overstay
started
their
Black
welcome.
Flag like 4 times.
Really?
Yeah, I've beaten like 3 of them, but that's about it for Assassin's Creed.
I haven't beat any of the Diablo games, and I would like to do it with Diablo 4. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, Deathloop is one of those for me. I really like that game, but
I do
haven't
too.
beaten it.
Love that game, but I didn't beat it either.
So there's some games kind of in this topic that I did go back and finally finish. So like one I remember a couple of years ago, I went back and I was like, I remember really wanting to beat Donkey Kong 64. So I like just played through the whole thing, and I was like, and I beat it. And I remember I was like, I kind of couldn't beat this one level when I was a little kid. I was like, I dominated. Another one is Star Fox 64. So Star Fox 64, there's like the default way to beat the game, and you win, but but there's like a hidden top path you can go if you do all these objectives on every level. And I was like, I want to beat the game doing that, and so I went back and did that. So those are 2 that I can think of.
I don't know if I've ever done that. If I've gone back and beaten a game again, or beaten a game that I played in the past, it's because I wanted to play it again. Like Breath of the Wild, I've done that with Kingdom Hearts, like 1 and 2 a couple of times.
I did that with I played Mario 64 and I got every star in the game. Like I've
never done that.
I completioned it. Like it's not that big a game. It's not nearly as big as like getting every moon in Mario Odyssey, which is actually pretty hard.
Oh, I never finished that one either.
Oh no, it's so
I didn't finish that either.
good. I've beat it like 3 times because each of my kids have wanted. I beat it, and then Noah wanted to beat it, and I beat it with him. And then Riley wanted to beat it, and I beat it with him.
That one, for whatever reason, doesn't keep my attention. Like my biggest issue with Mario games is that their stories most of the time suck. Like they are very fun games, and they're so buttery, like smooth in the gameplay, and they're well tuned, and they're beautiful, and everything just works, and it's magical. But the stories are so overplayed and boring.
I didn't care for
opinion.
that game either.
Like
I love Mario games.
I love how creative that game is.
I'm out
from a game. He just drops the mic and runs. But man, I guess that's my hot take for the week. He actually left.
I would agree.
I hate you guys so much right now. The gameplay
I know people that feel
is
the same way about Zelda though. Like I'm just like it's
I
like
know.
they say, oh, it's the same story. It's like Ganon steals Zelda and then you have to go rescue her. It's the same story as Peach, Bowser, and Mario.
Mario Odyssey, I think, is a joy from start to finish. I don't think it ever gets old. I could play that game through tonight. Like every time you get to a new world, you're like, oh, it's just so good, man. And the ending is so great. And then there's like all the hidden levels at the end that you don't even know about because you didn't finish the game.
I watched a couple of speed runs. I know about the stuff. Dark side and all that kind of stuff. And
do you know about the darker side?
Yeah, actually.
Oh wait, maybe I did beat it.
Maybe you did.
I don't remember.
I mean, and that game's been out for a while, but
Yeah.
So I guess spoilers here. But the dragon, like that's like probably the coolest thing in the game, in my opinion.
That's like mid game too. Yeah, that's not a spoiler, I don't think. But
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
maybe it is.
Really cool.
Yeah.
But
There are definitely some games that I'm sure like I should go back and finish.
Ooh, Far Cry 6 is something I want to finish.
I've never
love those
even
games.
really played a Far Cry.
I've never same. I haven't touched the Far Cry series. That'd be a good topic. Like what are like your biggest like missed opportunities in gaming?
Oh, those are definitely there for me. Like Half-Life is one I know for me. We could go through.
Yeah.
We could do an episode.
Mass
Maybe we'll do
Effect,
that.
all that kind of stuff.
I think I did that maybe early on of like, what are your gaps?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe we need to revisit that and kind of like put a different spin on it. But
I've never finished any of the. I've started the first Mass Effect several times and not finished it.
that's such a beloved series.
I have started all 3 of what's the other one? Dragon Age?
Okay. Yeah.
Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, and Dragon Age 3 Inquisition or whatever. Haven't finished any of them. For some reason, I get to a point and I'm like, I don't know. It loses it. I lose it. South Park, both of the games are great. Haven't finished them.
Same.
I beat both of those. Those are incredible. Those probably need to go on my top like 50 list.
They're good games. Really fun.
They're fun.
Hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, let's not
linger too long.
Yeah. Dawdle too long, shall we? I think we have just a little bit of time for some dad talk, just to kind of give some updates. Unless, what you got?
Before we move on, there was this. I wanted to bring up this. I put this in my notes about this topic. I sent it to you guys earlier this week about. I just thought it's kind of topical with like games that you finish, but it's the opposite. I saw this review of it was, on Steam, you can say recommend or don't recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right next to it, it shows how much you've played of the game though. And it said that it was this picture of a guy who had played a game for 17,000 hours. And he said, I don't recommend it.
Somebody do the math on that.
Wait, how long? Yeah.
17,000 hours divided by 24, that's 2 years.
700 days.
It's 708 days, yeah.
Gosh.
And I'm like, so it's like just you definitely finished this game, but
not.
They're
you
just playing
hate
the
it.
same. They're just playing the same mini game.
Because
over
what
and
if
over
it was
again.
like Fortnite and he had a bad night and went to review it?
See, I'm thinking those games that like they're
Right.
like don't like Rust or League of Legends or any of those games that you're like, I love it, but I hate it at the same time.
Yeah, Call of Duty, Overwatch.
Sorry.
Any of those, yeah.
I thought that was funny. I wonder if anyone has a game like that, the game that they just like they love to hate. That'd be that's a fun topic too. Sorry, I derailed. We can move on to dad.
No. You're good. But yeah, why don't you go ahead and take it away, Andy? What's new in dad life for you?
I'll just share some good news. So Riley, I think I talked about that he broke his arm while walking the dog. Today he got his cast off.
Hey,
This was a fun day. He was kind of scared at first because they use a saw to basically cut that thing off.
Yeah.
But no, they got it off, and he came out and he kept saying, "My arm feels light and weird." I was like, "Yeah, it's been heavy for for a month," and so he was super pumped.
Awesome.
He did have to. They gave him a brace as a replacement that he's going to keep wearing, but he can take it off when he takes a bath, and he can go swimming and take it off, and because the doctor was like, he's not going to hurt it while swimming.
Just in time for summer too.
Yeah, you're buoyant. You can do things, and so I think it's pretty great. Yeah, I'm really, really happy for him, and we got the X-rays that it's healed quite a bit.
Nice.
So just a little bit longer with the brace, but yeah, so that's really cool news, and he's really excited. And we had a great week this last week with grandparents coming into town. Life is so much easier with one or two more adults around.
Bro, you're not kidding.
I don't even need them to watch the kids. Just like anything, Like my dad's sitting there while Lily's standing on the floor talking, like babbling to him. I'm like, whatever. She's distracted. I can do dishes now.
Yeah.
Like you're not even doing anything. Like it's just, or my mom cooked dinner one night, and just that one night, it's just so great.
Yeah.
So great.
Super helpful.
So shout out grandparents. Step up. Just be around.
Right on. Preston, how about you, man? What's new?
Oh man, it's been a couple weeks. We are ready for summer. We're planning some different things to do this summer. Every year we buy just an inflatable pool for the summer. We found a
nice
big 15-foot round pool this year that's 4 feet deep for $80 at Walmart. So,
Ow.
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, and
That price is insane.
and it comes with the pump and everything. It was awesome. So I was like, yeah, we're doing it.
So party at Preston's house.
Yeah. So Rhett has I say Rhett in quotes. Rhett now has the pool. He has a couple years ago we found on an open box inflatable water slide climbing type thing that was a stupid sale. So he picked that up, and he's got a slip and slide and a trampoline all in the backyard. So he's summering it up already. So the last like 3 or 4 nights, we get home and we play outside on whatever water slide he wants. So it's like a water park at our house.
Do you like shock and treat and chlorine the pool and all that, or are you doing all that or no?
So we have a little
skimmer
thing for that, but we have this thing that floats in the pool that releases, the chemicals and stuff.
That's awesome.
Tells us what the pH balance and all that stuff is. So
that's really cool, man. Nice.
Yeah, and my next project,
balling on a budget.
I'm gonna build. I say this, air quotes, build. I'm gonna try to build a. Christine wants an outdoor picnic table, and I found some. What are they called? I don't even know what they're called.
Do it.
So
like plans
on how
blueprints,
to do
whatever.
it. Yeah.
Schematics.
I'm not. Yeah. I'm not a handy guy.
Table schematics.
But
it makes it sound like
we'll
like some giant invention.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give that a shot and see what happens.
Well, make sure to share your wins and failures with the group because we want to know.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe we should start posting that kind of stuff to like our Instagram
Social.
stories. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The dad moments.
How
at least the visual ones.
I think I told Andy this today. Kids are like freaking Sour Patch Kids, man.
Mm-hmm.
They are so evil and so sweet at the same time. Sour, sweet, whatever.
They will actually do that, like that. The commercial where the Sour Patch kicks them and then hugs them.
Yeah,
that's real. That's real
stuff.
Yeah. Sour, sweet, and gone. Then they're just 18, and then they're just gone.
Yeah, forever.
Sadness.
What about you, Houston?
What about me? What did we do recently? So I said last week that my wife went to Orlando to go to a friend's house and go to Universal for a day. And so I, with my mom's help, watched Josephine for the weekend, and we hung out at their place and went to their church and did the whole thing. But we just had a pretty nice weekend. Just dad and daughter and my mom and
nice.
Just kind of hanging out, pretty chill. My daughter had a great weekend. She's been sleeping well lately, so that's been really super nice and a good change.
How does she do when your wife's gone? She does good?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it just kind of depends on like, I don't know, just how she's feeling really. But she doesn't have like huge separation anxiety, especially if she gets to go to like my parents' house because she's really used to them now. But the second that one of either myself or my wife walks in from like a trip, she like freaks out because she's like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot you existed for 5 seconds." And
that's
now
a great feeling.
It's amazing.
And now it's like, but it's like it's sweetness and she cries at the same time because she's like, "Oh, like why did you?" Like she's mad.
Yeah,
she's like mad and happy.
That feeling's like heroin. Like it's just I don't know. I wouldn't know, but
it's like, do we need to talk?
It's just so like. I'll tell you what, like parenting for the most part is I think, and we could talk about this. I don't want to get into this too much, but like a selfless thing, like it's a lot for them. But man, there's definitely some like
this feels amazing.
This feels amazing, and those moments are one of them.
Yep. That's been a more recent theme in our life. Whenever I get home from work, my daughter, like usually during that time of the day, my daughter is kind of like exercising. She's in her wheelchair and she's kind of running around the house playing with her toys, and like it's like post nap, but like pre bedtime, so she's starting to get a little antsy.
Cranky. Yeah,
just a little bit. But then when I come home, she like does the whole like mad happy like freak out thing where she's like, "I'm excited you're home, but why did you leave me?" kind of thing. But then today it was the sweetest thing. Like kind of like got to me a little bit, but she rolled up to me and then just stuck her hands out and wanted just to hold my hands when I walked through the door. And I was like, "Oh, that's incredible," because she hasn't been able to do that before because she was immobile. She didn't have her wheelchair, and so that's like her walking up to me and say, "Hey, Daddy, you're home." Like that's her way of doing that, and that was such a special thing for me.
As far as first moments go, just before this call, we had a really cool like first moment with Lily, who's my 1-year-old. She for some reason, after putting the kid, I literally was coming down so that we could record the podcast, and she cries. She wakes up, and I'm like, my first reaction is like,
Just
why?
go to sleep.
You don't wake up. She doesn't normally ever wake up in the night. Not anymore, when she did at first a lot. But I go up there, and as soon as I open the door, she's crying. She goes, cup, cup, cup. And I'm like, oh, are you thirsty? So like I bring her a water, and she just downs it.
Just crushes it.
And then just lays into my chest, and then throws back. It's like points at the bed, and it's like, I want to go back to bed. I'm ready to go back. And I was like, oh, you just wanted to let me know I'm super thirsty. And I was like, how great is it once your kid can communicate to you? Like, you're not trying to guess their needs. So that's a milestone win in my house. And granted, there's going to be other things that she won't know how to communicate yet, but that's one thing. So pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Awesome. I love hearing that. And like, we haven't experienced this because we only have the one kid. But like, was there a point when like your boys were like cognizant enough to like help out or with one another or like with Lily, and like how often does that happen in your house?
Oh, well, I mean, certainly Noah now. Noah's turning 9 this month. He helps with all kinds of things, and I mean, for a while there when he was Riley, his younger brother was born, I'd be like, hey, can you bring them this cup? Can you bring them? And he would do it, but I don't think he would he wouldn't realize on his own that someone needs something and help them. Mm-hmm. That probably happened around 7 that he started to be able to do that. It's great. I mean, literally today I looked at Noah and I was like, Noah, the neighbor kids left their shoes. Will you take it? And he runs and does it, and he listens, and he is very helpful at a lot of things. I need to push my middle child to do more.
It'll come.
He wants to help Lily, but he doesn't notice. I mean, she could be crying and he wouldn't notice.
Right on. Well, cool. Well, I think that about does it for today, unless you guys have anything else. But thank you so much for listening and watching this episode of Dad Casual, episode 33. If you liked what you heard, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, ring the bell. Go on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the things. Spotify for podcasters is now a thing. There's also a podcast section of YouTube that they just released that we're on as well, on YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, all those places that you can find podcasts, videos. We'd love to have you as part of the Dad Casual crew, as an honorary dad, even if you aren't a dad. I don't know. That's just something I'm going to try out. What do we call our listeners? Did we just say listeners? Is that a thing?
Yeah. Hey, listeners.
Hey, listeners. That's so generic. But anyway, if you have any questions about today's episode, about any game, any dad topic, any parenting topic, or just something you want to hear us talk about more, you can reach out to us at dadcasualpodcast@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment. You can DM us on any of our platforms, and we'd be happy to engage with you guys. So thank you again, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.